Hey there, welcome back. In the previous lecture, we separated this URL and file name value from the program which we are running inside our container. However, as we can see, these values are still hard-coded only in a way. We have separated them from the program, but hard coding is not gone yet, which is not good. We need certain governance and configurability around these values so that we can feed these values to one or more containers. Well, the solution is ConfigMap. In Kubernetes, a ConfigMap is used to store configuration data that can be consumed by containers running within pods. It provides a way to decouple configuration details from application code, allowing for easier configuration management and portability. Config maps are commonly used to store key value pairs or configuration files. I have full confidence that if you really want to get into more theory, you will be able to do it from the Kubernetes official documentation yourself. As promised in the beginning itself, I'll try to keep this demo as practical as much possible. Yes? So without wasting any time, let's try to create a config map and explore it more in detail. What we are doing? Creating. So it has to be kubectl create, and what is that we are creating? Well, it is config map or CM, the shorter form of this. We have to essentially pass the name of configuration map. So let's say I want to give the name of demo app. Okay. Now beyond this, I don't really remember the syntax. What should I do? I'll just pass -h and I want to see the syntax for this. Syntax is we can create like this from literal, then key and then value we have to pass, and like this we can add the values to this. So what I have to give is from literal. Scraping URL is one of the key that I want to store in this, whose value, let's say I want to keep as this website. Okay, so this is one key value pair which I'll be able to see inside the config map we are about to create. Another key value I want is file name. So let's say this is the key file name and its value has to be this. This sounds good. So let me hit enter and we can create the config map. Okay, it says config map is created successfully. So let me try to get its value. Get config map. Yes, it is indeed created. So I'll try to describe it. Describe config map. Which one? Demo app. Hit enter. And yes, my values are here. So this is good. There's one file name whose value is this, and the scraping URL whose value is this. So my data is present inside this config map, and this is Kubernetes API object. So any pod can actually access this data and make use of it, right? So let me see whether it is available inside Azure portal also or no. I'm going to default namespace and my config map is available over here. And here is our file name, its value, scraping URL, its value. So data looks good. With this, we have successfully created the config map. Yes, awesome. Now, as you could see, we have created the config map with the help of imperative command. But as we have got some experience with the manifest YAML files, and we now know that how comfortable it is to work with the YAML file than the imperative commands. You know, so many things we have tried so far. We never had to go to the help section because Visual Studio Code extension itself is helping us with the syntax also, with the warning, etc. This is much more convenient. I hope you agree with me. So for this reason, I want to delete this config map and create one with the help of YAML file, right? So how will we do that is very simple. Dry run equals to client. Output I want is in YAML format, and this text which it will produce certain text which I want to redirect it to the YAML file configmap.yaml, and that's it. So the file should be created now. Let me just take a look. I don't want this. Okay, file is created here. This is weird. I'm not sure why these extra special characters are getting added. Anyways, what we can do is use this CMD, because it is Windows operating system. Maybe MobileXtrum is not fully supported for this. So I'll just use this CMD. I've removed the extra spaces also. And now I'm trying to send it to the ConfigMap to open this file. This is better, right? Our intention is not to get into MobileXtrum, Windows, Linux, etc. Our intention is very simple, which is to learn Kubernetes. So with CMD or MobileXtrum, doesn't matter. With this imperative command, we are able to generate this config map. I'm removing this creation timestamp, don't want that, and rest of the details seems good to me. So I'm closing it, and at this location, did we delete the config map? Not yet. So delete config map, no app, delete it. It's not there anymore. Now we can apply kubectl apply -f config map, hit enter. Config map is created from this file. We can describe it and we can see our values are present, which is very happy situation for us. Fantastic. You know, it was very easy for me to forget this command after running it once in the terminal, but I can easily keep this file with, because I can version control it inside my repository, and as long as I need it, it will be there with me. So this is another advantage of manifest files over imperative commands in certain situations. Yes? Awesome. Moving on. We created a config map in Kubernetes cluster, updated our configuration data in the key value manner inside it, and now here is our deployment. Please tell me, will this value be automatically passed to our container? Well, no, definitely not, right? We have to at least give the reference that, hey, go to this config map and grab the value of this particular key and give me its value so that I'll use it. This much we still have to do. Okay, so let's try to do it. Well, it may sound a lot of work, but in reality it is really simple. So what we have to do is remove the value, and instead of value we will use value from. Somewhere we want to grab the value, hit enter, and from where we want to get the value? We want to get it from the config map. So automatically we are getting a suggestion of config map key ref, which we will take. So now value will be coming from the reference of config map. Yes. What is the name of key? We created it with the same name as scraping URL. Yes. Okay. And what is the name of config map itself, which we have to tell, right? Well, we created it with the demo app name. So now with this, what we are saying is scraping URL is the environment variable name whose value will come from a config map. Config map's name is demo app, and it will grab the value of only scraping URL out of it, right? Same we can do for the file name environment variable also. So I'm just copying this. Everything else is same, just the file name that we want to change. Awesome. So far so good. Let me save this deployment YAML and apply it on the Kubernetes. So here is the latest pod that is just now created. I want to connect to the container inside it. So kubectl execute -it, the name of pod, and I want to connect with the shell. Okay, nice. There we go. I see there is one file recently created with the name of jagran.html. From where this value should have come. So I'll go to my deployment file and I'll see, okay, file name is here and it has to come from the ConfigMap. Inside ConfigMap, indeed we specified the file name like this only, and that is the reason this file is created. So for me, this is enough proof that the container running from my pod has successfully grabbed the value from the ConfigMap and made use of it, right? Also, I can print the environment variables and see the value myself. So scraping URL value is there, file name value is there. Awesome! How cool is that? Well, this is certainly a good news, but I want to remind you, why did we even started talking about ConfigMap in this lecture? It was simple intention that we want to change the value in some centralized place, and when we change that, we want to see whether it reflects in the actual place where that particular value is supposed to be used, right? This is how I'll describe the statement of our intention behind exploring ConfigMap so far, right? Now let's explore whether it is really working or no, right? So what I'm gonna do is, any URL, let's say, okay, maybe fb.com, fb.htm and fb.com. So these are the values I have changed in the ConfigMap, as well as I'll update in the ConfigMap, right? So indeed the values are updated in the ConfigMap. Now I want to see whether this pod which is running right now has consumed this updated value or no, right? It's very important. So let me quickly connect to this. So we want to connect to this. Hit enter. Print env. As we can see, the file name and scraping URL environment variables still holds the old value. The updated value in the config map has not reflected on the container level. This is a serious problem, right? Because if this is not happening, what is the point? Again, I'll have to restart the pod in order to reflect this value. Let me try to restart the pod and see whether at least after that it is happening or no, right? So I'll just delete the pod. Deployment is there to ensure the pod is there. So automatically it will create a new pod. I'm just deleting and waiting for the new one to get created. Pod is deleted. Yes, after restarting, indeed the values are refreshing. Okay. So now we see the fb.html value, as well as in the output of print env command, we can see the values of fb.com are coming. What this means is, every time somebody updates the config value, we have to delete the pod and create it again. To be honest, this is okay in most cases, but in our case, we want to do some exploration, right? Our intention is to learn Kubernetes. So I want to find some way where these values are automatically updated on the container as soon as somebody updates it in the config map. Yes. Let me put it very straightforward. You might don't want to do this all the time, but still it sounds like a good idea for the exploration purposes, right? We shall meet in the next lecture and work on this. Apart from this, I have an assignment for you. In this lecture, we explored how to use config maps in order to store our config data as key value pairs. But what if you want to store some sensitive information such as password, API token, certificate, etc., which you do not want to store in raw text format, right? Well, for this, in Kubernetes, we have secrets. Conceptually, it is similar to config map. So whenever you need to store config data, ask a question. Is it sensitive information? If yes, store it in secret. Else, config map is fine. I am leaving it up to you to explore secrets yourself with the help of Kubernetes documentation. Cool. Now it is time to conclude this lecture here. Take care. Thank you.